Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today I want to show you the difference between life and PTS in terms of sustain, and we will also try a few things on the PTS so we are actually able to sustain, and you kinda can see the huge difference between a heavy attack and like a spell cost reduction build. I'm using the exact same gear on life and PTS. The reason why I've chosen this certain gear setup is because I don't have access to other gear on the PTS currently. I will do more videos related to Morrowind PTS, so make sure to subscribe. Most important note, this is PTS, it's a test server, so those changes are not final, and I'm 100% sure we will see some changes to resource management anytime soon on the PTS. I will keep doing update videos about this kind of subject because I think it's the most important thing that changes next patch, because there's so many sustain changes. It's very important that people actually do understand what kind of impact they have. 29 seconds into the fight on the Morrowind PTS and we have no magicka compared to Homestead, where we still have more than half our magicka. Also keep in mind, healers could pop bubbles and all that stuff to get us even more magicka. So that's just completely solo buffed. Now let's finish both parses and kinda see the damage difference. Just to remind you, we basically on the Morrowind PTS we lose 16% cost reduction from the champion tree. Then we lose another 5% from the light armor changes. In Homestead, each light armor piece gives 3% cost reduction. On Morrowind PTS it only gives 2%. And we have 5 light armor pieces as we use 5-1-1 setup. So in Morrowind we might have to run 7 light to get as much cost reduction as possible. On top of that, as you can see, I apply elemental drain. On Homestead we get 400 magicka every second. On Morrowind PTS we get 300 magicka every second. So that's all the changes, and you can see they have huge impact. Orbs in Homestead patch, like when somebody pops a synergy, each group member benefits from them. However, in Morrowind, only the player that activates the synergy benefits from the orb. That's another huge change which you can see here. This is a full damage setup, so we have 3 spell damage glyphs on our jewelry, and you can see in the Morrowind DLC it's so hard to sustain. I have to constantly do heavy attacks, and even then, even with potions, I have no magicka. Time and damage difference is pretty huge. Now let's just compare the cost of a skill. Force Pulse costs 480 more and Liquid Lightning costs 625 more, so the difference is huge, right? Now keep in mind we run 5-1-1 setup, so we have a 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium. In Homestead, light and medium armor, each piece you equip gives 3% cost reduction. In Morrowind it's only 2%. Now in Homestead everyone runs 5-1-1. I always say, like, when you have sustain issues, run 7 light because it will help, and if that's not enough, run 1 cost reduction. So that's kinda where they should find the sweet spot. Like in Morrowind, you either should be able to choose between more max resources, so you'll maybe do more damage, you have more health, more stamina, or 7 light. But then when you wear 7 light, maybe a cost reduction glyph, maybe even 2 is still okay, then you should be able to sustain, right? But it's not the case. So now let's go check this out and what we actually can do. I want to show you a heavy attack setup and a cost reduction setup. Now in this try the gear is still the same, except like right side I have 3 spell damage glyphs, left side on the Morrowind PTS I have 3 cost reduction glyphs. And you see, I still, even with 3 cost reduction, I still run out of magicka faster. That's how huge impact like the changes have. As you can see, we run out of resources also quite fast, and Now, I have 3 cost reduction glyphs compared to the first try where we had full spell damage, and I don't really gain a lot of time on my resources, and that's like the first problem here. My goal now is not to do any heavy attacks, so I am using 3 cost reduction glyphs on the Morrowind PTS and Dark Deal, so I regain Magicka. And you will see the difference. Now, as you can see, I kinda have about the same sustain as on Homestead, but the problem now is we lose so much damage, it's not worth doing it, right? That's why people say like heavy attack builds are the only viable choice, because you don't lose as much damage with a heavy attack build as with a cost reduction build. And that's the problem. That's where ZeniMax needs to try to find the balance. Because now it's just no fun and people don't want to do heavy attacks. ZeniMax kept saying like ESO is about fast-paced gameplay. And if we have to weave constantly heavy attacks, it's just slowing that down to a point where it is not fun anymore. As you can see, even in Homestead PTS, I kinda run out of resources too after some point, but the skeleton is almost dead compared to Morrowind, where it's not even close. So now I'm just trying, like, as soon as the skeleton is almost dead, I try to have about the same Magicka on both, like, setups. Homestead, skeleton dead, yes, I have low Magicka, but I didn't have to do a lot of, like, heavy attacks or whatsoever. And I have a full spell damage setup there. You can see the damage is so much lower compared to the live server, it's insane. As you can see, when the fight finishes, we have about the same Magicka left as on the right side, just to give kind of a comparison. Now, the biggest issue here is the damage difference. This is the last showcase. Now, both of those videos have been recorded on the PTS. Right side, we have a full spell damage build with just heavy attack in between. And left side, we have 3 spell cost reduction glyphs and Dark Deal. So we don't light attack. And you just see, like, you will see when it's finished. First off, watch the resources, and then at the end you can see the DPS screenshot and the damage difference. Here we are using a 3 million target skeleton. When we would use a 6 million target skeleton, obviously, like, the gap in damage would get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because left side, we always have to fight for our resources. Right side, we also have to fight, but heavy attack, it's easier sustainable. Keep in mind, I don't have best in slot gear. Like, if I could run a Necropotence here instead of Julianos and a Maelstrom weapon, the damage difference, like, of those two builds would even be bigger. Also remember, on live server with the exact same setup we had like 35k DPS if I remember correctly, and now here you will soon see the difference. Live server we had 35k DPS. Now here Morrowind PTS with right side, just like exact same setup, just a little bit of heavy attacks. We dropped down to like 27, 28, and on the left side with cost reduction and dark deal we drop down to like 24, so somewhere like this. You see like the damage difference between Morrowind and Life Server is kind of huge, and on Morrowind it's just sure you can do heavy attacks, but is it fun? But if you don't want to do heavy attacks, you just have to sacrifice so much. Because sure, it doesn't look like it's a huge difference, but like I said previously, if you get, like, if I had best in slot gear, there would be another 2 to 3k DPS difference most likely. Because of Necropotence, pet will hit harder, my heavy attacks will hit harder, and all of that kind of stuff. Another very important thing is here on Magicasorg, you have a lot of lightning damage, and lightning damage procs concussion. So the percentage uptime on concussion on those parses can vary. And that's maybe on the left side I had higher concussion uptime than on the right side. So just keep that in mind. Once we see the new patch notes, I will obviously keep you updated on the videos, so make sure to subscribe. In the meantime, if you want, I have a review of the new champion points system, if you want to go check it out. And you also can go check out my first impression on the new armor sets if you want. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.